I'll just say that Felicity learnt in Brighton about January last year, I think,
Yeah.
if I recall correctly. And and I'm just going to let Felicity tell her story. Could you just say what you did before the pandemic came, and then maybe just tell your story in a linear view,
Sure.
like, what brought you to learn, what it was like when you learned, and then what happened since. So I'll give you the floor.
Thank you.
So far away.
Okay. Hello, everyone. I'm Felicity. And yeah, so my TM journey, or my meditation journey, has been an ongoing thing for many years. And I sort of had come to the conclusion that I just can't meditate. I just don't have a brain for meditation. And I've tried various apps and various YouTube things, but I always get frustrated and bored, and my brain was never able to. I was just too restless, and I always was very self-conscious as well about doing meditation. I always felt I was getting it wrong, and so then I started beating up my, like, oh, I just can't do meditation. So anyway, a friend of mine had suggested, have you tried TM? And I was like, oh God, no, I haven't, but and she said it was really working for her. And the other thing was that I was really persevering with wanting to meditate, so I was trying all these other things because I am a very anxious person, and I do tend to on negative thoughts, and and I'd always been told that meditation is great for people that are slightly depressive, or even people that are very depressive, or meditation is just a really great thing to do. So I've always wanted to do it. So anyway, I read the books by David Lynch, and is it Bob someone
Roth.
who's Bob
Yeah,
Roth?
Bob Roth.
Yeah,
He's he's the one who teaches all the famous folks in America.
that's right. Yes, yeah. So I read both those things, and I thought that I want what they're both talking about. I really do want this. So I came to a couple of the talks that Mark did at the Onca Gallery, and you showed a few videos as well of people like Jerry Seinfeld, and it's quite wonderful to see people like him talking about it. And Paul McCartney, I think, was one of them, or I've seen Paul McCartney talking about it. But anyway, and also, I like to think of myself as quite a creative person. I am in a creative job, and I love the idea of being able to tap into my creativity with a bit more ease. And when I first learned, I remember the first initiation ceremony that we did, and Mark went out of the room and left me alone with my mantra. I had very powerful experience sat in your room in that chair. And I can't describe it really, because I just remember you coming back in the room and me being quite shocked that it had been 5 minutes even. It felt like you'd been gone for 30 seconds. And so I thought, oh, this is good. And then I think it was that night I went home and meditated, and again had a very powerful experience. But what the sort of person I am is that I'm very open and really wanting to do all these things, and then I shut down again really quickly because I think, oh no, that can't have happened, that can't have worked for me, and also I was quite grasping about wanting those experiences again, and I didn't get them. So I got quite frustrated with the practice, and it's quite interesting. I haven't had either of those experiences again quite as powerfully like I have. I have a much more graceful practice now, and I'm much more accepting of how each meditation unfolds. And so it has been quite a journey for me to get from an initial sort of bang, and then a kind of slump, and quite being quite frustrated and quite disappointed, and then what really turned my practice around was starting to go back to the Onka group meditations.
Yeah.
And I discovered that I love meditating with other people. I love it. And I really connect. And I think it's when I meditate with other people, and I don't feel any different doing this to the Onka gallery thing, is that I feel committed in a way that I often don't when I'm sat on my own and I can think about a million other things that I've got to do. You know, I'm a full-time mum as well as a full-time job and blah blah blah, you know. But if I'm with other people, I think no, I'm here, I'm committed to this. So I for some reason that does shut out the other voices, and I really feel like the pandemic situation that has brought around you doing this 3 times a day has meant that I can practice like I've never practiced before, you know, because as much as I would love to practice at 8 o'clock in the morning and 8 o'clock at night on my own, I never have that kind of discipline. But knowing that you're here has really done that, and it's really transformed my my practice. And I've had lots of conversations with you, and I've listened to you over the year and 18 months that I've been doing this, where and there's been some amazing nuggets, you know, like when you said about don't grasp onto the experiences, because every single meditation is different. Every single meditation is a different conversation that you have with yourself at that time of the day, on that particular Thursday, on that particular, you know, you can never ever have the same meditation. And I loved that you said that, because it really released me from wanting to have this same experience, you know. And now I'm quite excited for the idea that I might get bored, or I'm quite excited for the idea that I might fall asleep, or, you know, I just don't know what my meditation is going to bring or give me, you know, and that makes it infinitely exciting.
It's an adventure.
It's an adventure. It is. It really is, you know, and yeah, and the impact that it's had on my life is that I am definitely less anxious, and I don't want to think that the sort of person that I might be without it at the moment. It is a stressful time. It's a difficult time for everybody, and me plugging in twice a day has definitely been a lifesaver, without a doubt, for me personally, you know.
Brilliant. I've got one question. I just wanted to say, if anyone has any questions for Felicity, just type them in the chat now, and we'll come to them. But I've got one question. So you said that when you first learnt, you had like the honeymoon kind of experience, and then it kind of plummeted, and then there was the sort of despondency thing, and then it sounded like committing to going to the group meditations kind of eased you out. But could you say there was one? Could you isolate something that changed? Because that was 18 months ago, and you're now really enthusiastic. So could you kind of encapsulate what did something happen, or was it just a gradual kind of education or something? I don't know.
I know what you mean. Yes, I think definitely something did happen. I did go along to the Onka group, and I did just calm down. You know, my expectation of it was just so aggressive, and and I think because I was in a group, I had to behave myself.
So was it kind of more of, it was just coming to the group meditations sort of wore down your demandingness?
I think
sort
it
of
did,
thing.
yeah. And hearing other people sort of ask questions, and you're ever calm and sort of very graceful responses to all inquiries, you know, just I think made me trust and trust and trust. And also I there's so many times when I think I'm hearing the instruction and I'm just not hearing it at all. You know, like when all the time you say just innocently favour the mantra, innocently favour the mantra, and I'm shouting the mantra in my head, and there's no innocent favouring going on at all, you know, and I'm trying to override my thoughts and I'm just doing it my way and not how you suggested in any way, shape or form. But it's because I've got frustrated and I haven't, I just, for whatever reason, was not allowing myself to hear what I needed to hear about how it worked.
Yeah, it's really interesting because there's always a balance between the ideas. You know, what as a teacher I can talk words, but I can't give you the experience. It has to be yours. So the value of the, you know, the instruction or the intellectual understanding is to it, you know, it has a place, but I think there's always a balance, and the two kind of go together. It's like you're walking down the road and you've got the experience and the understanding, and so after a while, you start to hear what's being said rather than hear it through your own filter. If you see what I mean. So,
Yes.
so it's like they both have a role to play, and they. I think that's the value of having both. You know, if you didn't have that, you probably would have given up.
Yes, definitely I
Probably.
would have. Yes. Yeah. And it's just
Mm.
that, you know, every now and then I would just hear a little nugget of something. Like, I remember you talking about the charm of the mantra, and I was
Yeah.
like, oh, how lovely. Yeah, I'd never thought of it like that. And then I found it almost quite delicious in my head, you know, and it just shifted my perspective. Sorry, I hope you can't hear
Yeah.
my kids shouting away in the
I
background.
can. It sounds quite energetic.
I think it's post-bath excitement. And also you said a lovely thing about a motorbike analogy, which I often get a visualization of, is that like the mantra is like a motorbike, and when you can finally ride a motorbike and you really trust your skills as a motorbike rider, you can look ahead and you can see your
Yeah.
destination. And I do feel like that. I'm thinking, right, I'm on the road to transcendence. And, yeah.
That's actually I can't remember using that, but actually it's totally true because um, maybe I did say it that when you're riding a motorbike, um, a beginner it gets very obsessed with the what's going on right in front of them,
That's
and
right.
the golden rule with the bike is the bike goes where you're looking. So wherever you look, that's where you're going to end up. So rather than having a kind of a short term, a very short-sighted view, you have to look to the goal
Yes.
and trust the bike to sort of just look after itself. And in the way that I think there's that element with TM that you trust the process
Yes.
and you just do it and just trust the process and then see what happens.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. And that, I would say, is my journey. I have learned to trust the process.